The laughing galaxy. The galaxy laughed at Earth. From one end of the stars to the other, alien leaders mocked the humans. They said humans were too young, too weak, and too divided to ever stand among the great powers. Their fleets were small, their ships outdated, and their weapons primitive. To most alien eyes, humans were nothing more than noisy children playing with sticks in a field of giants. In the grand halls of the Zarathi Empire, nobles laughed over wine. They replayed recordings of human ships struggling against pirates. Is this their navy? One of them joked, I have seen cargo haulers with more teeth. The laughter echoed across the chamber, and no one questioned it. On the markets of the Kral Dominion, merchants sold wooden toys shaped like human ships. The toys broke easily when pressed, and the buyers laughed, saying, just like they're real ships. The image of weak humans spread across every channel, every broadcast, every tavern. They were called the fragile ones, and it became a popular insult among alien youth. Even the Council of the United World spoke openly. The delegates agreed that Earth posed no threat. Some argued that humans might be useful as cheap workers or scouts. Others said they should be left alone, because crushing them would not even be worth the fuel it cost to get there. But the humans listened, not with anger, not with open defiance, but with silence. In the deep reaches of their solar system, far from alien eyes, humans were building. They did not answer the insults, they did not correct the lies, they simply watched, learned, and worked. On Earth, leaders gathered in secret. Hidden bases under mountains buzzed with activity. Shipyards floated in the shadows of Saturn's rings. Workshops hummed on the far side of the moon. No broadcast announced these projects. No alien spies returned to tell the story. The laughing galaxy never asked how Earth survived every invasion, how humans fought wars among themselves for centuries and yet always rose again. They never asked why pirates who attacked human convoys often disappeared without a trace. They assumed it was luck. They assumed it was weakness covered by chance. They were wrong. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of a small frigate near Mars. He listened to the alien broadcasts mocking his people. His crew smirked, but no one answered the words. Instead, they focused on drills. Every day, they trained. Every night, they prepared. The ship's old metal hull hid the secrets buried deep inside, weapons no alien had ever seen. The galaxy laughed at Earth, but in hidden places, a different sound grew. The sound of engines being tested, the hum of new reactors, the thunder of rail cannons being fired into empty space, and beneath it all, the silence of determination. The aliens called humans fragile, but fragility was a mask. They said humans were unprepared, but preparation was their hidden art. For every mocking broadcast, another ship was completed in the shadows. For every insult spoken, another weapon was sharpened. Still, the laughter grew. A coalition of alien powers met. They spoke of finally ending the human problem. They believed Earth had grown arrogant, trading too widely, speaking too boldly. They decided to strike, to send fleets and burn the tiny blue planet as an example. The galaxy cheered, believing it would be quick, believing it would be easy, believing it would be the final laugh. But deep beyond Neptune, in cold black space where sunlight barely touched, something vast waited. Silent shapes larger than cities rested in the dark. Their hulls were hidden under ice, their cores burning with quiet fire. They did not move, they did not answer, not. Yet for now the galaxy laughed, but the humans were patient. They waited for the moment when the laughter would choke into silence. The day was coming, and when it arrived, the galaxy would finally learn the truth. Humans were not fragile. They were not weak. They were not prey. They were hunters, and the hunt had not yet begun. The trap set in stars. The alien coalition had made its choice. They would strike Earth, not tomorrow, not in secret years ahead. But soon the Council of War gathered in a chamber lit by blue fire, where the leaders of 6 alien empires leaned over a star map of the solar system. This is their home, growled a Kral warlord, pointing a claw at the small, glowing dot labeled Earth. A fragile world, defended by scraps of ships. One blow. Here, and their spirit is broken forever. The Zorathi commander laughed, his voice like broken glass. Do not waste all our fleets. Let us send only one armada. 100 ships will be more than enough to crush their navy and burn their cities. The room agreed. The galaxy had always laughed at humans. Now it would laugh as they burned. The coalition chose Mars as the stage of the strike, they believed. Human forces would rush to defend it, leaving Earth vulnerable. It was a trap of arrogance, and they did not know they were stepping into another. Far away, Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the frigate Resolute. His crew had received a message, encrypted, silent, and short. It carried only 3 words. Hold the line. Ward's ship was one of a dozen stationed near Mars. Their task was simple: pretend weakness, lure the enemy closer, and survive long enough. The alien fleet had already entered the solar system, moving fast, confident, proud. Alien broadcasts filled the void of space. Humans, surrender now. You are outnumbered, outgunned, out of time. They called their approach a parade, a march to victory. Crews in the alien ships sang songs of conquest. They did not even raise full shields. Why waste power on prey? But on Earth and beyond, humanity watched in silence. Presidents, generals, scientists, and civilians stared at their screens. The whole planet seemed to hold its breath. Every child, every worker, every soldier waited to see if their fleets would break, or if the stories whispered in secret would finally prove true. Ward's ship drifted forward slowly. His crew acted nervous, hands shaking as though their controls were failing. It was all part of the illusion. Behind them, near the red planet, other human ships copied the same dance of fear. To alien eyes, it looked like panic. The enemy commander smirked. Look at them. They can barely hold formation. Prepare the strike. The order went out, and a wave of alien cruisers surged forward, their weapons locked, their engines burning. The trap was set, or so they thought. Then, without warning, the first human frigate moved. It twisted in space with speed no alien expected, and its cannons roared. The blast tore through the shields of an alien destroyer, splitting it in 2. The laughter stopped. Ward gave the order. Fire at will! The humans unleashed a storm. Weapons the galaxy had never seen lit the void. Rail cannons cracked open armor. Pulse beams melted steel, and missiles split into dozens of darts that pierced even the thickest plating. But it was not victory yet. The alien fleet was still vast, and they recovered quickly. Their return fire slammed into human shields, shaking ships, burning hulls, tearing through metal. One human frigate vanished in a blossom of fire. Another spiraled into the planet's gravity, its crew screaming. Ward gritted his teeth. His crew fought with every ounce of strength. Each second mattered, because they knew they were not the real defense. They were the bait. Far beyond Mars, in the shadows of Neptune and Pluto, something stirred. Colossal engines hummed, hidden gates flickered, silent giants waited for the signal. Back near Mars, the alien commander sneered. They resist harder than expected. Crush them all. Let Earth see how weak their last fleet truly is. His ships closed in, tightening the noose. Ward's hands were steady. His ship's hull burned, half the consoles sparked, but his voice carried calm fire. Just a little closer, he whispered, watching the enemy ships move exactly where he wanted them. Alarms screamed, explosions shook the human line, but no one broke. They fought and they bled. Their small fleet seemed on the edge of collapse, and the aliens pressed harder, eager for the kill. And then, it happened. A signal flashed across. Human comms. 2 words this time. Release them. From the far edge of the system, space itself seemed to shiver. A gate opened, vast and dark, and from it emerged a shape so large the alien sensors faltered. A ship the size of a city slid into real space, followed by another, then another, until the darkness behind them burned with light. The humans had not been weak. They had been waiting. The alien commander's smirk vanished, his claws dug into the armrest as he whispered the words his people had sworn would never need to be spoken. This is not their full fleet. The first clash began with silence. For a heartbeat, the alien armada hung frozen near Mars. Hundreds of ships drifted forward, their engines burning, their weapons ready. They had expected easy prey, But what they saw before them broke every expectation. From the shadows of the outer system, Titans had arrived, dreadnoughts with armor thick as mountains, carriers glowing with hangars full of fighters, and cruisers bristling with weapons unknown to alien science. The void itself seemed smaller as the human armada unfolded, ship after ship spilling from hidden gates. The alien commander, General Krass of the Kral Dominion, felt his throat tighten. Still, his pride forced him to sneer. They are only big ships. They cannot change what they are. Fragile humans, he told his crew. His words sounded strong, but his eyes betrayed fear. Captain Elias Ward on the frigate Resolute watched from the edge of the battle. His ship was battered, scarred from holding the line. But now he smiled. "Show them," he whispered, and the human fleet obeyed. The first strike came from above. A human dreadnought fired its main cannon, a weapon so powerful that space itself seemed to bend around the beam. It tore straight through 3 alien cruisers in a single shot. Their hulls split. Their crews never even screamed. Then came the carriers. Hatches opened like wings, and swarms of fighters poured out. Thousands of small craft moved in perfect patterns, weaving between enemy fire, striking with precision. Alien ships turned their guns toward them, but the fighters were too fast, too sharp. The galaxy had called humans weak, but weakness did not fly like this. The aliens fired back. Their plasma bolts streaked across the void. Beams cut through the blackness, explosions shattered space. Human ships trembled under the storm. A cruiser took a full blast and broke apart. Another dreadnought staggered as enemy fire scarred its armor. Ward's ship shook violently as a missile detonated nearby. His crew clung to controls, alarms wailed. "Shields at 30%, shouted the engineer. "We won't last long in the open," Ward gritted his teeth. "Then we don't stay in the open." The Resolute swung into the shadow of a burning alien vessel, using its wreckage as cover. From there, they fired, tearing another enemy frigate apart. The battle became chaos. Ships collided, fighters weaved, explosions bloomed like dying suns. It was no longer a neat war, it was survival, raw and brutal. But the humans had prepared for this. Their weapons were not made to impress. They were made to kill. Missiles broke into smaller fragments mid-flight, confusing alien shields. Railguns fired slugs faster than light, smashing through armor. Human stealth craft appeared from nowhere, planting charges on enemy hulls before vanishing back into the dark. Alien commanders shouted orders, but their fleets were breaking. The humans fought like predators, every move calculated, every strike precise. And yet, the aliens did not flee. Pride and rage chained them in place. On the bridge of his flagship, General Krass snarled, "They think they can scare us with toys? Forward, break their line!" His armada surged, great warships pressing hard toward the human front. They thought if they could shatter the first wave, Earth would still fall. Ward knew their plan. "They're coming for us," he said calmly, his eyes narrowed. "Then, let them come." The Resolute and its small group of battered frigates held position. Their guns fired non-stop. Their shields flared red with every hit. One by one, Ward's comrades fell, ships turning to ash and fire. But with each loss, they dragged another alien vessel down with them. Then, in the middle of the chaos, something new appeared. A human battleship Leviathan moved forward. It dwarfed every ship around it. Its cannons glowed white-hot, and then unleashed a storm. The blast was not one beam, not one strike, but a wave of destruction. An energy curtain that swept across the alien line. 5 enemy ships vaporized instantly. Others drifted half dead. The aliens screamed in panic. "What is that weapon? How can they—" But their voices were lost in the roar of the battlefield. Ward stared at the sight, even his crew frozen in awe. "We've just shown them the truth," he whispered. Still, the price was heavy. Human ships burned too. Dozens had fallen already. Crews lost forever. The Armada was strong, but victory was not yet certain. The aliens still had numbers, and desperation made them dangerous. As the battle raged, signals flashed across human comms. A single coded order spread like fire. Phase 2. In the darkness beyond Jupiter, More gates shimmered. More ships emerged, fresh and unscarred. The alien fleet froze again, unable to comprehend. This was not humanity's full force, not yet. The first clash was only the beginning, and as the void filled with fire and screams, one truth burned brighter than any star. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and now they would pay for it. Whispers of the Armada. The clash near Mars had shaken the galaxy. For the first time in living memory, a coalition fleet had faced humans and failed to win a quick victory. Alien broadcasts tried to spin the news, calling it a minor setback, but whispers spread faster than any official voice. How did the humans destroy so many cruisers in minutes? What kind of ship was the Leviathan? If this was only a fraction of their strength, then how much more? Are they hiding? In the marketplaces of the Kral Dominion, traders lowered their voices when talking of humans. Once they sold toys mocking Earth's fragile ships. Now those same toys were quietly removed from shelves. Nobody wanted to be caught laughing anymore. In the courts of the Zarathi Empire, nobles drank in silence. Their laughter had faded into fear. One lord muttered, "Perhaps they had help from another power." Another whispered, "No, this was not help. This was human." The room fell silent because no one wanted to admit it aloud. Even pirates, who once hunted human trade routes with ease, stopped their raids. They spoke of convoys armed with weapons that melted entire fleets. They told stories of dreadnought shadows appearing in deep space, watching, waiting, then vanishing before they could be attacked. The galaxy was no longer laughing. The galaxy was whispering. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Elias Ward heard some of these whispers through intercepted transmissions. His ship was scarred, half its systems failing, but his crew still stood strong. They had survived the impossible, and now they carried the weight of truth. Ward looked at the star map glowing on his console. He saw the enemy fleets regrouping near Saturn. The aliens were shaken, but they were not broken yet. "They will come again," he told his crew, "and they will come harder. They think they can still crush us." His first officer frowned. "Do they know what waits for them?" Ward shook his head. "No, and that is why they will lose. Far beyond, hidden deep in the ice fields of Neptune, the true heart of humanity's power rested. Colossal shipyards hidden under shadows, silent guardians watching the stars. Here, dreadnoughts larger than any alien had imagined waited in silence. Each one carried weapons untested in open war, cannons that could pierce moons, missiles that could split apart entire fleets, fighters with AI cores that thought faster than any living pilot. The project had taken decades, born in silence, built in secret. The galaxy had been too arrogant to notice. Every laugh, every insult, every mockery had only fueled humanity's will, but not every human leader agreed to reveal the Armada at once. Some argued they should keep it hidden, show only fragments, let the galaxy doubt. Fear of the unknown, one general said, is stronger than fear of the seen. And so, humanity revealed pieces of its strength but never the whole. The aliens had seen dreadnoughts, but they had not seen the titans waiting still. Among alien worlds, rumors grew into myths. A merchant swore he saw a human ship the size of a mountain drifting past a gas giant. A scout reported weapons that bent light itself. Another claimed to have witnessed a single human vessel wiping out an entire pirate fleet in seconds. Most dismissed these as lies, but deep down, even the proudest rulers felt doubt. What if the whispers were true? What if the humans were building something no one could match? On Earth, leaders debated their next move. Should they strike first and break the coalition forever? Or should they wait, let the enemy come and show them the full scale of the trap? Ward knew the choice was not his, but still, he prepared. His crew repaired their ship. His engineers worked day and night. And every night he stared into the stars, waiting, knowing the storm was not over. Back in alien space, General Krass gathered what remained of his forces. His pride had been wounded, but not destroyed. He shouted to his commanders, "Do not believe the stories. They cannot have more ships than the galaxy combined. They hide behind tricks and shadows. We will crush them in the next strike." But when he was alone, even Crass felt a cold chill. He remembered the moment the Leviathan fired. He remembered the sudden silence of his comms as ships died faster than his sensors could record, and in that silence, the whispers grew. The galaxy did not see humans as fragile anymore. They saw them as dangerous, unpredictable, and perhaps unstoppable. And somewhere, in the dark between stars, the Armada waited, silent, patient, and deadly. The whispers were true. And soon, the galaxy would see the full truth with its own eyes. The revelation the galaxy had whispered long enough. Now it was time for the truth. Near Saturn's rings, the alien coalition gathered again. Hundreds of ships filled the void. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, all bristling with weapons, their gi. Lights burned like a storm against the black canvas of space. General Crass stood at the heart of this fleet, his eyes full of rage. "Enough games," he roared to his commanders. "No more hesitation. No more laughter. This time, we erase them." The aliens believed the humans had shown everything at Mars. They believed the dreadnoughts revealed there were humanity's only secret. They did not know they were still staring at the mask, not the face behind it. On board the frigate Resolute, Captain Elias Ward watched the massive enemy fleet move closer. His ship, patched and scarred, now stood with hundreds of other human vessels. This time, humanity did not hide. This time, they met the enemy openly. His first officer whispered, "Sir, they outnumber us 3-1. Ward smiled faintly. "Only if you count what you can see." The alien fleet surged forward, filling every channel with messages of war. "Humans, your tricks end here. This time, you will kneel before the galaxy." Ward didn't answer. His comms officer leaned closer. "Admiral is asking if we're ready for Phase 3. Ward nodded once, his voice steady as iron. "Tell him. Release the storm." And then the sky itself tore open. Behind Neptune, beyond Pluto, across hidden gates scattered through the system. The true Armada emerged. One after another, colossal ships appeared. Ships that dwarfed even the mighty Leviathan. Their hulls gleamed with black metal, their engines burned with white fire, and their shadows swallowed stars. The first to arrive was Titanus, a dreadnought the size of a floating city. Its main cannon stretched like a spine of lightning, humming with power. Following it came Goliath, its armor plated so thick no known weapon could pierce it. Then came the carriers, each releasing thousands of fighters that moved like a living storm. The void was no longer black. It burned with human steel. Alien scanners screamed as they tried to count. But the numbers kept rising. Hundreds, then thousands, each ship larger and deadlier than the one before. The coalition commanders froze in disbelief. This cannot be real," one whispered. "No species builds so many ships in silence." But humans had. Decades of preparation, hidden shipyards, and silent workers had forged a weapon the galaxy had never dreamed of. The revelation spread like fire. Every alien captain watched the sky fill with human warships until their own fleet seemed like insects before giants. Pride turned into fear. Laughter turned into silence. General Crass gripped the edge of his chair, claws biting deep into the metal. His voice cracked. "It is impossible. No world, no empire could..." But before he could finish, Titanus fired. The cannon unleashed a beam brighter than the sun. It sliced through the void, and where once an alien battleship had floated, nothing remained but dust. The shock wave rattled through the enemy ranks, spreading terror faster than the blast itself. Then the carriers released their storm. Thousands of fighters swarmed the alien fleet. Their wings glowed red and white, engines screaming as they dived into battle. They moved as if guided by one mind, striking weak points, tearing down shields, flooding enemy hangars. Ward's voice was calm as his crew watched the impossible unfold. "The galaxy underestimated us," he said softly. "Let them see their mistake." The alien fleet broke into chaos. Some tried to retreat, others fired wildly. But for every shot they fired, 5 more human guns answered. Battleships shattered, cruisers split apart, carriers burned. The coalition's Proud Armada was torn apart piece by piece. Among the aliens, despair spread. They were never weak, a captain cried before his ship exploded. They were waiting for this. Ward's frigate dodged between burning wreckage. His crew cheered as the enemy lines collapsed, but Ward's eyes stayed cold. He knew this was not just a victory. This was a revelation, one that would echo across every corner of the galaxy. On alien worlds, the truth could no longer be denied. Merchants, nobles, pirates, and rulers watched the broadcasts. They saw ships so vast they blocked out stars. They saw an armada stronger than any empires. And in that moment, the galaxy finally understood humans had never been fragile. Humans had never been weak. They had only been silent, patient, waiting. And now the silence was over. The revelation had come. And with it, the balance of power in the galaxy was broken forever. The shattered enemy. The revelation was complete. But the battle was far from over. Saturn's rings glowed with fire as human and alien ships clashed in brutal combat. The sky burned with streaks of plasma, railgun trails, and the silent blossoms of ships exploding. The once proud coalition, made of 6 alien empires, now trembled before the storm they had unleashed. General Krass tried to rally his fleet. His voice thundered across comms. "Stand your ground. They cannot break us all." But his words were hollow. Already dozens of alien cruisers were gone, ripped apart by weapons they had no defense against. The dreadnought Titanus tore a path through the enemy, its main cannon fired again, and 3 destroyers vanished in a flash of light. The giant moved slowly, but every shot it fired turned alien warships into debris. Behind it, Goliath pushed forward, its thick armor shrugging off blow after blow. From the human carriers, endless waves of fighters poured out. They swarmed like a cloud of fireflies turned into blades, weaving through defenses, targeting weak points. Each alien ship that tried to regroup found itself surrounded by hundreds of small, merciless attackers. The aliens screamed in desperation. "They are everywhere! Shields are failing! Engines down!" On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Elias Ward listened as alien channels filled with panic. He gave calm orders. Keep pressure on their flank. Cut them off from retreat. His frigate moved with precision, striking wounded vessels, finishing what the dreadnoughts had begun. The coalition's greatest pride, their carriers, fell one by one. A single human missile broke apart into 100 shards, piercing every deck of a Zorathi carrier until the ship split in 2. Another carrier tried to escape, but stealth craft attached charges to its engines, ripping it apart before it could jump. The battlefield became a graveyard. Saturn's rings reflected light off shattered hulls, broken armor, and drifting bodies. Human ships pushed forward, unrelenting. Their weapons never tired. Their crews never wavered. The galaxy's laughter had turned into silence, and silence had turned into terror. General Krass slammed his fist into his command chair. His eyes burned with rage. "We are not defeated. Focus all fire on their flagship." But even as he shouted, his own scanners showed the truth. His fleet was falling apart. Discipline had collapsed. Pride had turned to panic. Some alien ships tried to flee, opening warp gates in desperation, but human interceptors cut them down. Before they could escape, others begged for surrender, but in the chaos their pleas were lost. Drowned out by fire and destruction, Ward stood steady as his frigate danced through the wreckage. His crew's cheers filled the bridge, but he raised his hand. "Do not celebrate yet," he said firmly. "The enemy is wounded, but not gone. They will return." Still, the truth could not be hidden. Humanity had shattered them. The whispers that once filled alien courts now became cries. Messages spread across the stars. The humans have an armada. The humans are Deathworlders with steel instead of bones. The humans are no longer prey. Entire worlds trembled. Empires that once mocked Earth now called secret councils. Some debated surrender before war even reached them. Others spoke of alliances, hoping to survive the storm. On the battlefield, Krass gave one final command. His pride would not allow retreat. "If we are to fall, we will fall fighting." His flagship surged forward, its guns blazing. But the human dreadnought Leviathan met him head-on. The clash shook the void. The alien flagship fired everything it had: plasma storms, missile swarms, beam cannons, but Leviathan's shields held. Then came the reply. A single broadside of cannons from the human warship smashed through Krass's flagship, splitting it in half. The coalition's leader was gone. What remained of the alien fleet broke instantly. Ships scattered, retreating. Into the dark, no formation, no courage, only fear. The shattered enemy fled, leaving behind thousands of burning wrecks and countless dead. Ward's ship slowed as the battle ended. His crew stared at the field of destruction. No one spoke for a long time. The void was filled only with drifting debris and the silent truth. Humanity had won, but Ward knew this was only the beginning. He turned to his officers. Today we showed them our strength. Tomorrow, the galaxy will decide. Will they bow, or will they bring more fleets? The galaxy had laughed. The galaxy had mocked. But now the galaxy whispered one word, passing from mouth to mouth, system to system. Terrans. And for the first time, the galaxy spoke that word with fear. The new power. The battle was over, but the echoes of war still filled the solar system. Around Saturn's rings, debris drifted in endless silence. Burned hulls, shattered engines, and lifeless fragments of the coalition fleet floated like a warning, carved into space itself. The once mighty armada of 6 empires had been reduced to wreckage in just a single campaign. On board the Resolute, Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge. His crew was exhausted but alive. Their faces showed pride, relief, and disbelief. For years, the galaxy had mocked humans. Now they had crushed the laughter beneath fire and steel. Ward looked out the viewport at the dreadnoughts drifting in perfect formation, each one a mountain of metal, each one a promise of more power than the galaxy had ever seen. His voice was quiet but firm. The galaxy knows now we are not prey, we are the hunters. Across the stars, news spread faster than light. Pirate dens whispered the story. Merchants repeated it in fear. And in the high courts of empires, rulers sat in silence watching transmissions of burning ships. In the Kral Dominion, warlords screamed at each other in disbelief. How did they build so much in secret? One demanded. Another struck the table with his claws. It does not matter, the Terrans are a threat to us all. But none dared to speak of war. Not after seeing what happened at Saturn. In the Zarathi Empire, nobles who once laughed at human weakness now trembled. One whispered, "We may need to kneel before them." Another hissed, "Better kneel than burn." Their pride was broken, replaced by fear. Even neutral worlds, once ignoring humans, now debated alliances. Some sent envoys begging for treaties. Others swore to trade whatever humans asked. The galaxy that once mocked Earth now moved carefully, as if walking barefoot across a field of knives. And yet, among humans, there was no celebration of conquest. On Earth, leaders met in secret councils. The images of burning ships haunted them too. They knew victory came at a cost. Thousands of human lives lost, dozens of ships destroyed, families would mourn, graves would be filled. But humanity also knew something greater had been born, a truth that could not be hidden anymore. They were no longer a small world in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. They were a power, a force that demanded respect. The broadcast came a week later, transmitted across every known channel in the galaxy. The screen showed Earth's leaders standing before the symbol of the new Terran Armada. Their voices were calm, steady, without arrogance. To those who doubted us, the message began, "You now know our strength, we did not seek war. But when war came, we stood. We will not kneel, we will not surrender, and we will not be mocked again." The message was short, but it burned across the stars. It was not a threat, it was not a plea, it was a declaration. Humanity had taken its place among the great powers, and perhaps above them all. Captain Ward heard the broadcast from the bridge of his ship. His crew stood in silence, letting the words sink in. Finally, his first officer turned to him. "Sir, what happens now?" Ward looked at the wreckage drifting outside, the burned remains of enemies who had underestimated them. "Now," he said, "the galaxy will decide whether to fear us or to follow us." And indeed, choices were being made. Some empires planned, secret alliances hoping to resist. Others began plotting betrayals, but most, deep down, understood the truth. Fighting humanity again would mean extinction. In the farthest reaches of space, whispers turned into prophecy. Alien scholars said, "The age of Terrans has begun." Traders called Earth the Iron World. Pirates spoke of the Death Fleet. And children across alien colonies drew human dreadnoughts in their books instead of mocking toys. For the first time in galactic history, it was not humanity under the shadow of empires. It was empires under the shadow of humanity. Ward stood. Tall as the Resolute turned its nose toward Earth, his ship was scarred. But it was a survivor, just like his people. He placed a hand on the cold steel of the console and whispered, "We showed them, and we will keep showing them." Behind him, the Armada moved as one, titans drifting like mountains of steel across the stars. Their presence alone was enough to silence 1,000 worlds. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and now the galaxy would never forget. From this day forward, Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a power, a banner of fire and iron. And under that banner, a new chapter of history had begun. The Terran Armada had risen, and the galaxy would never laugh again.